feel like it's a backlash, or that you feel like you're violating people's privacy?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff happened along the way. I think, there were real learning points and turning points along the way in terms of building things.
Facebook privacy policy is a masterpiece of deception. It's intentionally vague, open-worded, and doesn't have any universal boundaries that will put reasonable limits on Facebook's tracking. The data policy uses blanket terms like third parties to cover a vast range of activities that allow Facebook to follow your every step and do with that information whatever they want.
They know more about us than we know about ourselves, and they can actually predict what we'll do in the future with a high degree of accuracy.
When you agree to the terms of service, you as an internet citizen cannot even imagine the uses and value your personal information has to Facebook and the database marketing industry behind it. Facebook doesn't just collect all of your personal information you upload on their website through private chat conversations, expressions in likes and comments, or posts on your newsfeed. Facebook will plant permanent trackers and desktop devices to follow you around the internet to map all of your browsing history. In cooperation with its marketing partners, Facebook helps to match that information with your real-life data like social security number, physical address, age, and family relationships. Where does your data go after Facebook collects them? What does Facebook privacy policy really means for your personal information? There is an entire industry developed behind Facebook's business model violating your privacy. It doesn't often make headlines and operates as secretively as high-profile banking. And just like clandestine predatory banking threatens financial stability, Facebook is standing up for industry that poses a threat to democratic values that enabled creation of Facebook in the first place. In the next few minutes, you will learn how Facebook stands behind major data broking conglomerates who boast with their ability to predict and influence consumer behavior based on the data collection facilitated by the Facebook company. Nothing that's mentioned here is a conspiracy theory. The analysis is made of publicly available information, and everything will have sources in the description below. Hopefully, information presented here will help you understand the intrusive scope of Facebook privacy policy and maybe give you enough reason to want to stop using Facebook immediately, because their manipulative marketing practices threaten everything free and democratic world stands for. What Facebook does with the privacy of internet citizens is currently not regulated or supervised, and you don't have the option to opt out even if you don't use Facebook at all. We are in an alarming situation where big database marketing industry collects private and personally identifiable information on almost all adults on the internet. This information is used to make blanket judgments about people based on how profitable their trading algorithms view them. It's an uncontrolled joint mechanism with the intent to influence and manipulate people for their own benefit, where consumers have no say whatsoever. Trading happens about them, but without them. You should have a say in this. You should know what's happening to your private information and where it goes once Facebook collects it. You should have the right to opt out and not be an involuntary target of advertising industry. This year, Google announced that it will track users' offline behavior by connecting online advertisements to purchases in brick-and-mortar stores to verify to its clients online ad impressions. Meanwhile, Facebook has been actively doing this since 2014. With the freshly rebuilt ad platform called Atlas, Facebook launched unified tracking mechanisms to allow marketers to follow users across thousands of websites and mobile applications. The service promotes itself as reaching people across devices and bridging the gap between online impressions and offline purchases. Atlas made it possible to identify specific subjects for targeted advertisements, opening up the world of possibilities for influential marketing techniques. Analyzing algorithms made it possible to determine certain personality traits to exploit for profit. They could find people with propensity to gambling, abusing knowledge of this private information that shouldn't have been known to them, just so that they can deploy manipulative advertisements. Atlas uses data to make stereotypical assumptions about people based on their race, gender, location, and influence a specific behavior according to societal expectations. Sometimes even enforcing trends like body shaming of young men and women, exploiting people more susceptible to predatory lending, or taking advantage of addiction weaknesses like smoking or alcohol. People make mistakes, and privacy is to protect them from being exploited for those mistakes. This is what happens when an entire industry forms around abusing people's natural and perfectly reasonable need for comfort and convenience. Facebook's affiliated mobile applications and web services give them access to your location, phone number, and telemetric data from your mobile devices. all that's necessary to develop capability for its marketing partners to make and maintain permanent self-updating profiles. Advanced algorithms rank people's profiles according to their monetization opportunity. Waste is a common word used to describe low-level targets with little expectations for profit generation. Usual practice to deal with people ranked in this way is to put them on slower customer service lanes and offer discriminatory pricing. What Facebook cannot track for themselves, its advertising partners will do it for them. Facebook is affiliated with over 190 marketing partners that together form the biggest database of personal information in the world. They are all elite members of the marketing class, but the most famous names are Experian, Acxiom, Epsilon, Vitsi, Adobe, and Oracle. According to a Federal Trade Commission report, 7 out of 9 data brokers buy from or sell information from their databases to each other. These are channeled through series of data broking companies, making it impossible to trace original source of particular data element. The whole industry operates on a highly clandestine nature, offering strong encryption to its clients but near zero-level protection of consumer data. Privacy for corporations, but surveillance for everyone else. Security breaches and hacker attacks are regular routine to which marketing industry exposes your private information. One of the biggest brokers, Epsilon, had its database breached by unknown hackers. The breach exposed millions of email addresses and consumer names for Epsilon's top clients including JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Target, and Walgreens. It was never disclosed how much data was stolen. Given the nature of current cyber laws, we may have never heard of countless of other potential breaches. Your private information could be floating around the internet and you have no way to stop it. Acxiom adopts an all-around approach to tracking your private life. Within high circles in the company is known as 360-degree view on consumers. It uses its 40-year-old database of offline information collected from government sources and self-reported surveys, and past few decades of digital surveillance to develop its own classification to rank consumers. This system, called Personic X, categorizes internet users to one of 70 socio-economic classes, each being marketed by its own rules. For example, this system can determine whether someone is tech-savvy if they prefer to use online banking, mobile devices, are price sensitive, and come from upper middle class. With no spouse, they are assigned a class Savvy Single. Thus, they'll be marketed special tech deals with price coupons to appeal to their interests and price responsiveness. Whatever there is to know about this person is used to create a personalized deal to influence them to click on the ad and make a purchase. This, however, wouldn't be possible without targeted invasion of their privacy. The goal is to make sure a consumer buys from one of the members of their marketing chain and not someone else. But that someone else could have been a medium-sized retailer who is in disadvantage because he doesn't spy on your private life. This retailer gets excluded from the internet visible to you because he is not part of the elite wolf pack. We are being told that online marketing is anonymous, so it doesn't matter if they breach our privacy. But Acxiom proves this is exact opposite of what marketing industry really does and wants.
How do you know the Lisa you're talking to is the Lisa you know and not a sort of like Lisa person? It becomes a lot harder to separate the Lisa you know from all the other Lisas out there. It all comes down to a thing called recognition. Recognition is accurately pulling data together across channels so you instantly know that the Lisa who came in your store is the same one who visits your website and signed up with you on social media. Name and address? Absolutely. Can use both offline and online touchpoints to get more precise recognition on a consumer and household.
Abilitech Digital, one of Acxiom's many products, is described as customer recognition service. It works to link history of data with people's names, nicknames, email and home addresses, and both mobile and landline phone numbers. In 2014, Acxiom's CEO boasted to have dropped 1.1 billion third-party cookies on people visiting clients' websites. Why does he boast now? It's a marketing technique to attract even more clients and expand the industry, just like their website aboutthedata.com, where you can take a peek at your data file. However, this is just a major publicity stunt. I don't recommend that you proceed with looking yourself up on their website. First of all, you'd have to provide various personal information like your full name and social security number. You'd voluntarily give them even more of your private information. Secondly, it might not even work for you anyway. The website asks its users to update the missing data or correct if something's wrong. Again, you would only provide them with more personal information and confirm that your advertising ID truly matches your real identity. In 2012, companies spent over $2 billion on third-party data about individuals and billions more on credit card data just in the United States. This personally identifiable information is used to specifically target individuals based on their unique advertising profiles. The whole process of targeted advertising happens through a mechanism called high-frequency trading. It's derived of algorithmic trading on stock exchange, where each transaction takes milliseconds to complete. Transactions are decided on by bits, where the highest bidder wins. Such trading occurs in online advertisements as well. On Ad Exchange, marketers place their bids for ad space on websites where they identified highest prospects of success. Automated ad sales system allows websites operators to sell their ad space to the highest bids. Websites use numerical customer codes derived from uniquely identifying cookies placed on web browsers to track online activities of their visitors. An Ad Exchange then takes these profiles and cross-reference them with their third-party data aggregates using information like sex, age, interest, income range, and history of purchases. The exchange analytics then determines fair market value of website's visitors and the ad space available to show them. The whole process has to take less than 15 milliseconds. What you are going to see on a website is determined before the page even loads. That's only possible because of the self-updating track record of your online activity. Companies maintaining these ad exchanges are PubMatic, Rubicon, Google's DoubleClick, or Facebook Exchange. Facebook Exchange is now shifting towards dynamic ads. Each of these exchanges make annual revenues of billions of dollars from advertisers paying for display ads. This is what makes Facebook such a huge fortune. The social network is just a pretty makeup. Once gathered, the available data is listed in Consumer Data Products catalog. But these are not anonymous statistical categories as you would expect. Acxiom's clients can buy hundreds of details about individuals and households lumped together in elements like Christian families, money seekers, dieting, weight loss, and smoking tobacco. There is even an option to choose a race model: Caucasians, Hispanics, African Americans, Asians, and so on. A specified retailer selling, let's say, portable computing goods can ask Acxiom for specific information on million college students living in urban areas aged 18 to 25. Acxiom then asks for further identification of the retailer's customers. Whenever you pay for goods with your credit card, your identifiable information is scrapped from your credit card company. If you supplied your zip code or phone number, that information is also tied to your advertising ID. The list of people who can thus know your purchasing or browsing history expands as quickly as the whole marketing industry. The advertising is never anonymous. At best, it's pseudonymous. Each person using the internet is automatically assigned an identification code that's continuously updated and cross-referenced with databases of your public and private personal information. However, Stanford University found out that many websites actually leak personally identifiable information to third-party trackers, matching user IDs with their real names. The independently funded research found evidence of tracking companies stockpiling databases of clickstreams, collected browsing histories. The tracking starts from day one and continues until each clickstream can be assigned a pseudonym, the unique ID. If you click on an advertisement, first party leaks your personally identifiable information to a third party. Most frequently, it's gonna be your username or user ID, but it can also be your IP or email address. In some cases, third-party companies act as first party at the same time, like Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. The third party then buys identifying information from a customer recognition service. It's also possible for a third party to exploit security vulnerabilities to learn about your identity. Finally, the third party matches your pseudonymous data against their identified data, creating a finalized version of your profile. It doesn't matter at which point in the future they manage to attach the ID to your clickstream. Identification affects the data in the future as well as retroactively, and thus only needs to happen once. Sometimes, websites leak your username to dozens of third parties at once. For example, Photobucket would send your username embedded in its URLs to 31 companies. Filling out the wrong password on the Wall Street Journal website will get your email address sent to 7 companies. These websites' behavior never gets mentioned in their privacy policies, and the same goes for Facebook privacy. The Facebook privacy policy might as well just look like this. Using our services, you agree to give us permission to spy on your every movement and activity 24/7 within Facebook as well as all over the web and your offline physical activities, and store this information indefinitely and permanently. To share all information we have about you with anybody who is willing to pay for them, or at least ask for them nicely. We make sure our advertisers, our third parties, and third parties of our third parties know exactly who you are and what you do, so that you are more susceptible to manipulation and surveillance. Facebook doesn't explain that they use your private conversations, your browsing habits, track record of articles you read, videos you watch, music you listen to, things you buy, to create and maintain a unique psychological profile of your identity to store permanently and use indiscriminately by the whole industry. Tracking users' activity on their own website is one thing, but actively pursuing collection of information on people's activities on the internet just steps over the line by miles. People don't know how websites work and talk to each other, so they rationally believe that what they share with Facebook stays on Facebook. People think nobody listens to their online conversations, because nobody does it in real life. People think sending emails is like sending letters in an envelope, when in virtual reality, everything is visible as text on postcards. By walking out of a brick-and-mortar store, your interaction with the business ends and everything you do the moment you step outside is unknown to the owner of the store. Purchase goods online with the same retailer, and suddenly it's not enough to just pay with money. You have to unknowingly hand over all of your past and future life as another form of payment for using their service. Technology is several steps ahead of our understanding, and society and laws haven't caught up yet. It creates a loophole for an entire industry to flourish, while values that hold together the system in tranquility and freedom are being torn apart in the process. We might just have reached a point where we have to collectively decide that a profit of a few doesn't necessarily serve the greatest benefit for us all. There is no solution where marriage with these companies is still a reality. You cannot have your private life protected while still agreeing to these privacy policies. If you want privacy, you have to stop using Google. You have to stop using Facebook. It's not just the government surveillance that's a problem here. The whole industry went rogue. There has to be a new regulation that catches up with our privacy standards of the past. If the commercial internet destroys everything that allowed it to become reality in the first place, then this will make it into history books as a failure of free society to guard its own liberty. Do we want to live in a world where a handful of marketing companies control all private information of every adult internet user? Soon enough, internet will be used by everybody on Earth. Not using it will not be an option. Next privacy policy might as well just be, when turning 18, you agree to have your life monitored 24/7 to be used by advertisers and the government for all general purposes. If you disagree with this policy, feel free to opt out of living. Is this what convenience has to cost us? The solution to this problem is simple but not easy. We need a .com equivalent of Do Not Call law. Do Not Call is a regulation maintained by the United States Federal Communications Commission that keeps a registry of people wishing to opt out from telemarketers calling their numbers for advertising purposes. Similarly, online marketers and websites should not be allowed to track internet citizens if they wish to opt out. Tracking of browsing history should be illegal. No website needs to see what you do outside of their services to improve their services. Tracking of logged out users through like and share buttons on websites should be banned. Likewise, companies should be barred from collecting information on people visiting websites using their third-party tools like Google Analytics or Facebook advertisements. When you visit a website that uses Facebook adverts, you are not using Facebook services and should not be subject to their data collection. Your browsing history should be between you and your internet service provider and no one else. ISPs shouldn't blackmail or deceive you into defaults that also violate your privacy. Just like Facebook, Google's business model also stands in the way of free and open internet. You can also learn more about Google's dirty industry practices that threaten free market and digital rights in my other video. If you feel like Facebook privacy policy is too much for you, you can find ways to protect your online privacy. There is a useful guide on privacytools.io where you can learn privacy protection step by step. I also made an easy to follow video tutorial on how to protect your privacy online that you can use even if you are not tech savvy. On this channel, I want to work on exposing clandestine business practices that go against our digital rights and individual freedoms. If you want to see more analyses like this one and useful ways how to protect your digital rights, subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. It's essential that we spur debate about Facebook privacy problem. Sooner or later, this is going to have to be about more than just installing privacy extensions on your browser. Facebook's marketing industry already started the legal battle. It's our turn now.